Good afternoon. This is a late video. Good afternoon, late evening to some of y'all, early morning to some of y'all. I don't know. Whatever part of the world you at, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. So, recently actually, I saw Demar Derozan on Paul George's show. Shout out to the class of 2008. We are in the class of 2008, especially in California. Demar Derozan, Paul George, and me. Drew Holiday, many others. But anyway, shout out to the class of 2008. I guess it is, I don't know what I just saw a clip of them. Actually, I know what they was discussing. They was discussing Anthony Edwards' comments about the past NBA players, and kind of DeMar DeRozan kind of stood on business when it comes to the older players. But I guess he has a book coming out, from what I heard. And I guess this conversation, this topic was discussed on First Take as well. So let me read it from this article right quick. So while promoting his new book, Above the Noise, DeMar DeRozan speaks about the trade that sent him from Toronto Raptors to the San Antonio Spurs. DeRozan, who began his career playing for the Raptors, enjoyed tremendous success playing along Kyle Leonard in Toronto. But after multiple All-Star appearances and late appearances in the postseason, the front office opted to trade DeRozan in exchange for Kawhi Leonard for the 2018-2019 season. The Raptors went on to win the 2019 NBA Championship, which was their first in franchise history. Like I said before, ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith asked an interesting question. Smith argued that at the time in Toronto's franchise, the only team that the Raptors seemed to struggle against was LeBron James. And I do gotta give credit to LeBron during that time. He was hitting some game winners and doing some things, but that's it. But anyways, Stephen A. Smith wondered if the Raptors would still have won a title in 2019. They had DeRozan and not Kawhi Leonard, as James left the Eastern Conference to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. It seemed DeRozan agreed with the theory, stating the following. So DeMar DeRozan did say something. And this is what DeMar DeRozan said. Never to discredit those guys. They won it. They deserved it. I finally got to a point where I was happy for them, but for sure, I definitely felt like that. The only person we couldn't beat was LeBron. That's just what it was. I felt off that year we had before. We just needed one more piece to kind of push us over the top. That piece came to be LeBron going to the West, and I didn't get an opportunity to see what would happen. But the almost confidence in myself, I had no doubt in my mind the same outcome would have happened. And this article says he's right. Good for DeMar DeRozan, had confidence in himself to truly believe this. He's right. The only team that stood in his way was the Cleveland Cavaliers, with James going to the Western Conference on the Lakers that season. And finally, DeMar DeRozan shot to win it all. Instead, it was Kawhi Leonard who won the NBA Finals in 2019. Of course, it may have been a lot tougher for the Raptors to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers, who were the juggernaut that season as well, without playing, without Kawhi Leonard playing. They talk about DeMar DeRozan being on the now Sacramento Kings and him having a cameo. Oh, they talking about the Kings fan getting DeMar DeRozan a loud ovation over Not Like Us, which he did have a cameo in Kendrick Lamar's video as well. I don't know about that. Here's why. So they face the what's the name of the team now? They faced the Cleveland Cavaliers twice. I think it was 2016 and 18. 2016, I think they lost the 6 games for the Cleveland Cavaliers, going to play in the finals, which they would win in 7 games against the Golden State Warriors. And then 2 years later, they played in the semifinals in 2018, where they Cleveland Cavaliers, a lesser Cleveland Cavaliers team, swept the Toronto Raptors. That's the first Exhibit A right there. Exhibit B. There's 2 differences between Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan. We all know Kawhi Leonard and DeMar Derozan, they both kind of master, especially DeMar Derozan, kind of mastered that mid-range. Even some people see it as Jordan is Kobe-is with those two. But here's what Kawhi Leonard does that DeMar Derozan doesn't really do well. It's the defense side of the ball. Kawhi Leonard, when he was younger, before all this load management, his knees really starting to get the best of him, was a defensive juggernaut on both sides of the ball. You remember Kawhi Leonard was once a Defensive Player of the Year. I think it was 2017 or 18, one of those 2 years. And there's no way in the world what DeMar Derozan and how he plays the game could have got to the finals. Also, you have to remember they was always failing in the playoffs because they were either DeMar DeRozan didn't show up or especially Kyle Lowry didn't show up and he just didn't disappear. I think some games Kyle Lowry didn't score, didn't do anything. So you have that as well. And then also, I think midway during the season, I don't know if this will still happen if DeMar DeRozan there. The Toronto Raptors traded for Marc Gasol for Jonas Valanciunas, who ended up going to Memphis, of course. And Marc Gasol was a big piece in that picture defensively for the Toronto Raptors as well. I don't think in the 2019 playoffs, which the Toronto Raptors beat, I want to say it was the Nets or Orlando in 5 games. I forgot which one it was. I think it was the Magic, because Magic made it to the playoffs back-to-back years. Then they played that grueling 7-game series with the Philadelphia 76ers, who had Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons before he decided to forget how to play basketball, and Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. I don't think they would have got past that team, which the article says, but they call them a juggernaut, the only juggernaut. There's one thing that article forgot, which I don't know. I know why they did, because they be hating on this team. But they clearly forgot that the Toronto Raptors was the 2nd seed with Kawhi Leonard that year. The Philadelphia 76ers were the 3rd seed that year. And the 1st seed that year was the only team that won 60 games was my Milwaukee Bucks, who went 60-22 and pretty much put the NBA on notice that year to become one of the elite teams that year. They forgot about that. Now, even if DeMar DeRozan led Toronto Raptors got past this Philadelphia 76ers team, nobody says they could have beat this Milwaukee Bucks team, even with Marc Gasol. Because one of the adjustments that the Toronto Raptors has made was to build this stupid-ass wall around Giannis. Because I think they was trying to go one-on-one at times with Kawhi Leonard on Giannis. And it just didn't work sometimes. It was just too much. So they decided to build this wall. I don't think DeMar DeRozan has that defensive capability. They would have had to change up. It would have changed the whole dynamic of their defense without Kawhi Leonard there. And who says that he? And I don't think they. I know Kevin Durant got hurt towards Achilles. I know Klay Thompson towards Achilles. I don't, like I said, I don't even think they would have got that far. But let's say they would have got that far. Maybe they could have beat. If the same thing with the same outcome with the Golden State Warriors would have happened, maybe they could have beat them. Because now that just leaves Steph and Draymond Green. Now that your other 2 stars are done for the rest of the series. Because I always believe if the Bucks would have made adjustments, Budenholzer would have made some adjustments during that series, they probably could have won, beat the Toronto Raptors and got to the finals, and probably could have even won the finals themselves. And we going down the same timeline of Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson getting hurt like that, then that's a win for them. But no, I don't see it. I just don't see it. And you look at DeMar DeRozan's body of work since he was traded from Toronto. You look at the San Antonio Spurs team he was on. I think they got to the playoffs 1 time, and then 2 years. Then they got 1 time, and then I think 2 years later they was like back-to-back in-season tournament, but play-in tournament candidates or contestants, and didn't do anything. And I think the one year they got to the playoffs with DeMar DeRozan, I think they either lost in 6 games or 5 games. I don't remember which one it was, but they lost to the Denver Nuggets in the first round that year. Pretty much starting the Denver Nuggets' ascension to becoming one of the elite teams. And they quickly plummeted as an elite team now over this past off season. But anyway, that's not the point. Oh, no. Sorry, DeMar DeRozan. I like you. But no. Definitely no. Nope. Cap. I don't think it would have happened for y'all that year. But he does have a chance to do something this year with that Sacramento Kings team, with him not necessarily had to be the focal point. Because in Chicago, technically he was the focal point. They had a squad. They had Nikola Vucevic, I think it is, at center. And then you had Lonzo Ball before his knee went out. And then you had Zach LaVine as well, and him. And the best they did was get 5 games against the Milwaukee Bucks. That was the best they could do. And at one point in time, that 2021-22 season, they was the number 1 seed in the East before Boston. I think it was Boston. Miami came and took over, because I know it was a 3-way. I know it was like a 4-way fight between Boston, the Bucks, the Heat, and Chicago. And Chicago kind of would drop down to the 6th seed. With, I think it was the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, and Bucks finishing top 3 seeds that year. So, like I said, now he's on the not the Raptors, with the Kings, with Sabonis Jr. and De'Aaron Fox. You got some young blood on your side now, healthy young blood, because I think for the most part, those two have been healthy. So, you're not the focal point too much anymore. The young ones are, but you have an opportunity to make some noise in the tough West. And I truly think they're better than, right now, possibly better than the Lakers. Possibly better than the Clippers. Maybe better than Houston. But they got to get their defense on point. Shoot. They can probably even challenge the Denver Nuggets right now, the way they going. But anyways, that's my analysis on what DeMar DeRozan said. Nah, bro. I don't think it was going to happen.